Okay, so back painting indoors after a summer of painting outdoors. And I'm working from a photograph that I took in Vermont at my friend Grace's house. So I wanted to try this. I've never tried it before. I've got the, what is it called? UArt. I've got the UArt paper that people love so much, but the thing I don't love about it is this color, which is the color of sandpaper. I have the very grittiest version, which is 280. So the smaller the number, the bigger the grit. And what I did was I gave it a really thin coat of burnt sienna, acrylic, really thin down with a lot of water. And I taped it down when I did that so that the paper wouldn't wrinkle. And I don't have it taped all the way around now, just I have a little tape here because I didn't have any clips that would reach. But, so yeah, I'm gonna try it. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, so this is a fall landscape, and the flowers are kind of right in the middle, so I don't know, I might move the flowers around a little bit. So anyway, I'm just going to try to get this sort of the shape of the field. Here's these flowers. I didn't really have, I could draw my little line here just to show where my frame is going to go, but there is that part that was under the tape, so it's kind of marked off anyway, but I'll just go ahead. So right here it's just a little shape I thought I could find and actually sort of see that shape. So that's kind of why I started right there. And then these things sort of sticking up into the background. And here's the first level of trees behind the field. Here's that dead tree right behind that flower, the bushes, and then some trees. And then here is the second level. You know, I guess I'd say if you want to be sure that you get in as much sky as you want, maybe you'd want to start more at the top and work down. This kind of weird and unusual that I would start in this corner, but it just was a shape I thought I could see. And at first I was thinking, oh, I should have straightened this photo up more, but I kind of like that this is not just going to be a straight line. I kind of like that it's going to angle. You see this is not erasing very well, so either you might want to do your drawing on a piece of tracing paper and then transfer the drawing if it was really complicated. That's really why I quit working on sandpaper so long ago. I just hated kind of all those steps I had to take before I started painting, which were, you know, drawing it and then putting charcoal all over the back of the tracing paper and then laying it on top of this paper and then redrawing it again with a pencil. I just, you know, it just was like too many steps, you know, for a person who just likes to do it. So I am trying to get a really accurate drawing. I'm trying my best to get an accurate drawing. I'm going to make these clouds kind of not just follow the lie of the land too. The last landscape I did, I felt like I just had too many parallel lines running all the way through it. And here, like maybe I'll move some of these flowers over a little bit into. And I did think, I don't know, I can't quite figure out what this red is, but I kind of wished I had more of it too, so I might do some of that. And then I talked about this before, that if you really want to push other things back, just be sure you have things in front overlapping. And here I'm just gonna, I don't know, just want to draw in some of these leaves just to kind of see how it's going to go. And I kind of like that some of these branches point in. And I'm not going to put a whole bunch of dark charcoal all over the place because I'm not really clear what's going to happen here. Okay, so I'm going to say that that's good enough for now. And then the first thing I'm going to do is, I think the first thing I'll do is just spot in the flowers where they're going to go. And then those red ones. Okay, and then this is also kind of weird, but I'm going to jump up to the sky because that's my next, I guess, I can't tell the flowers are brighter or the sky is brighter, but those are my two really light places, the sky and the flowers. This is pretty noisy. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it sounds like there's a lot of grit. Okay, I just want that even lighter. What is this? Yeah, that's a little lighter. So the good thing about getting your sky in is that you just want to compare all your other colors to the sky. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the clouds next, and then I'm going to come down and do this. And I'm just going to compare everything in the values to the sky. Not so much the color exactly yet, because I'm still trying to figure out, I haven't really made any, decisions about the color. Okay, this is so bad when I don't put my stuff away. Just a reminder, put your stuff away. Makes your life easier later. All right, I don't know if this is right or not. So now it's really probably way too dark. Okay, let's see if I can get that, maybe. All right, so I think I have to do something about this right away. I keep really wanting to use green in the sky, and honestly, I don't know if I even see green in the sky, but I just want to so bad that I'm just going to do it. Because, why not? Right? Why not? And I always say that I just do everything that crosses my mind, so there you go. That crossed my mind, and so there it is. And I just made that too light. But, it's just an experiment. That's all it is. You're just trying stuff. If you knew what you were going to do, what would be the fun of that? So, all right, well, let's just start with that. Okay, maybe this would be a really good color for here, too. Okay, I'm just going to not stay too long in any one area because gosh, and I really hope I've remembered everything about how to do this. At the end of the summer, I thought, or at the end of the spring, at the beginning of the summer, I thought, man, you should really write down all the steps here because it's complicated. So like just now I was trying to start my recording and then I was trying to play it back and there was no sound and I'm Googling how do you make sound, yada, yada, yada. And then I remembered, nothing told me, I just finally remembered that you have to unplug the microphone before you can hear the sound. So, yep. Okay, and then that whole row. So here's the thing in the fall, there's so many different colors of trees, but you just don't want to start all of them. So I'm just going to start with sort of an average color. So because it's so much more broken up than just how it is in the summer when it's just a great big old thing of green, every tree is like a really different shade. I just want to start it like I would if they were all just sort of the same. Something kind of average, an average of all of them. And yeah, and then I just, the other thing, when I saw this photograph, I just like, okay, I just really, really, really badly want to start that closer row of trees with purple. So, you know, that's just what I'm going to do because I just want to. And the thing is, I am the boss of my little painting world. At least I am when I start. Pretty soon the painting becomes the boss of me. But yeah, I get to try the stuff I want to try. I am trying really hard not to be a formula painter. So, all right, what am I going to do with this next row? It really is confusing. I'm just going to make it orange. I know it's not true. Okay, that was the dead tree. I'm mentioning the dead tree there. It's just kind of my landmark for where where this row of trees runs into the hydrangeas. Okay, and then I think down here I'm just going to use blue for these guys. And then the field, yeah, I guess I'll use this. And this guy over here, I'm going to use this really dark purple. Oh, wow, isn't that interesting? Yeah, it's just interesting that how this color, so I'm probably going to have to actually add some red to that color right away. Because once I did that, then this didn't seem right. So I was thinking, well, I'll try that and then I'll see if that seems right. So the good thing about starting a little reckless or a little, off kilter like this is it kind of makes it easier. The next step is easier because it's easier to make it better. This is a super dark bluish green. I'm sorry, I don't know what brand it is. But I wanted to be sure that I got this in right away, these really dark darks up here in the hydrangeas. So this is a scene with a great deal of distance. And so the thing to remember about creating distance, like right now I haven't really created distance. Honestly, I wasn't even thinking about it yet. I was just looking at the individual colors and trying to see what I thought they were. So, but you can, all the tools you have of painting, maybe would this be better here? Maybe. The tools of painting, if you think about the tools you have, the first one is composition and drawing. And so in my composition and my drawing, I just set it up so that I made sure these, when I was taking the photograph, I made sure these stuck up above here. I didn't have the hydrangeas in just on the line of the field. I decided I would have at least a couple of little twiggies coming up here like that from this little reddish bush so that would overlap, because overlapping always sends things back. In your drawing. So when you're looking at your painting, you're saying to yourself, man, I don't have enough depth. I don't have enough distance. You can ask yourself, well, do I have things in the background that appear to be stopped by the foreground? Or do I have things that something in the background just appears to be sitting on top of it because they're too lined up? Another thing you can ask yourself is, yeah, well, maybe that's it for that. And then the next thing is, okay, so I'm actually gonna use some white right here. And then the next thing is colors. So colors, they get more muted in the distance. They're not as intense far away from you. And you can see that when you look at this photograph, or if you're lucky enough to be in Vermont and you're riding down the road and you see how the mountains, as they are further and further away from you, they're bluer and bluer, they're cooler and cooler. So the warm colors start to drop out in the distance. But I just always want to remind you to not just assume that's the case. It's like I only kind of go over these things in my mind when I'm having problems. So I wouldn't be sitting here thinking to myself, oh, I need to make these colors in the distance more muted. It's more like I would look at my painting and I would say, why don't I have a sense of depth? And then I would say, oh, I need to make the colors in the distance more muted. So it's not following a rule. It's trying to look and see what's happening, and then and trying to figure out. It's like if you can be your own teacher, if you can figure out what is going wrong, that's really great, because the problem is not making mistakes or not making things accurate. The problem is not knowing that you need to fix something. So, okay, so it's just getting worse and worse back there. Okay, let me just try this back here in the far distance. But I do want to emphasize, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what color that needs to be. And it's super complicated. So I'm just trying things, and I'm going to keep it more like this, sort of all together, until I feel like the only way to make it better is to start breaking it up. So yeah, there is a lot of this bluish green back here. This was really not what I hoped it was. So now I'm going to find something that's blue. So I'm going to not break up the masses until the only way to make those areas better is by adding variation. So I'm so not happy, but that's okay. I'm just trying stuff. It's not like I've invested much of my life into this so far. All right, all that was too much right there. Too bright. Oh, geez, no. Okay, so the only time I use rules or suggestions is when things aren't going the way I want them to. When stuff is wrong and maybe I don't know what's wrong, then I can ask myself, is this a drawing problem? Like I said before, is it a composition problem? Is it a color problem? And for drawing, it's the overlapping and making sure that nothing in the foreground looks like it is stopping something that's in the background, and making sure that nothing is sort of sitting on top of something in the background, like lined up exactly with it. So overlapping, that's really the key. Just try not to have things just touching or kissing, because it causes confusion. But if something overlaps, then it's clear. So like here, even if these bushes don't actually go all the way across, but it might be a good idea for me to make them go all the way across, so they don't look like they were stopped by that little red limb right there, branch right there. And then colors tend to get more muted as they get further away, and the values tend to get more close together. So you know in your heart that if you were over on this mountain, you would see as much value contrast as you do right here. But because it's far away, you just don't see it. I do not have the color anywhere near what I want back here, so I'm just going to try something else. So I really want a paper that just allows me to make a lot of mistakes, that I can just keep trying things, and if it's not going that well, I can just try something else. So that seems a little better. And maybe I should work on the clouds a little more now. Although I think the first thing I'm going to do is brighten up the flowers just to see where that's headed. So more value contrast in the foreground, more variety, a greater variety between the lights and the darks when you're up close, and then more texture when you're up close. And texture really translates as detail. And the thing that really helps you make texture is light and shadow, because then your texture shows up really well. All right, that's the cat making all that noise, if you can hear that. So if you were working on the Canson paper, I would try to, back in the old days, back in my old days, I used to keep my pastels really separate. I kept my Rembrandts in one box, and I kept all my soft pastels somewhere else. And I didn't get out my soft pastels until I was close to the finish, because I didn't want my paper to get filled in by those softer pastels. I wanted to keep enough tooth with my paper so that I could keep layering colors up. But now, because I'm usually working on really gritty paper, because that's what I really like. So I'm just keep experimenting to find the grittiest paper I can find. And I'm kind of over the pastel Premier paper, but I do have quite a bit of it, so you will be seeing it. But because it's just not gritty enough. So now I don't really keep my pastels separate, and I'm more just picking things based on the colors they are and not based on what kind of pastel they are. So for better or worse, that's what I'm up to. And I'm just going to try to tell you what kind of pastels I have, because I never can. All right, so I got this really cool box. It's called Intense Darks 3. It's by Terry Ludwig, and they are really dark. So that's really good. And I like Great American. I like Great American Artworks. I like Mount Vision. And the reason I like those is that they are not that much softer than my Rembrandts. So that was Mount Vision and Great American Artworks. They're not that much softer, so I can use them. They kind of work the same as the Rembrandts. And I do like Senneliers. There's really some great colors in Sennelier. I haven't bought any Senneliers in a long time, but the ones I have, I do like them. All right, oh, the clouds, that's what I was going to work on. I lost track for a minute. Okay. But still, Rembrandts are really, for me, they're my very favorite. Okay, and remember, as here in the landscape, things lower down on the paper are in front of things higher up. With the clouds, it's the other way around. The further away it is, the lower down it is on the horizon. And as things come up, they're getting closer and closer to you as the sky comes up over your head. So the clouds, generally speaking, are getting bigger higher up on the horizon, and they're getting more value contrast and more rich colors. Somehow this box does not seem. So this is a sennelier. And the only thing about sennelier is I generally speaking don't want to unwrap them because they're so soft, they just kind of fall apart. But that means I need to use the edge of the tip, and I don't always like that either, and that's really laying down a lot of color right now. All right, let's see what else I could add over that. So your clouds, generally speaking, are going to get bigger as they go up higher to the top of your page, and they're also going to have more value contrast as they get closer to the top, and they are going to have richer colors. Well, this is pretty funky. So I don't know, I still feel like it's not really bright enough in the sky, so this is some sort of softer white. You know, I don't have any tricks really for painting. I don't have any tricks like how to do a better job on your clouds. My biggest recommendation is to practice a lot of clouds and practice cloud studies outside that you just do as quick as you can. And yeah, it's just, you know, they're not that easy, and they're moving all the time, which is quite annoying. But I just never forget the art show I was at in Washington, D.C. once, of British painters that were painting in Italy, and all the paintings they had of just clouds, like it'd just be a tiny little bit of trees down here, but then the rest of it was clouds, and they were just small studies. You could really tell that they had done it, you know, outside on location. And another thing you can do is, you know, I'm sorry to say, I probably spend more time outside not painting than painting. So I do try to look at clouds and stuff as I'm walking around, just kind of see what they're up to, looking for kind of unusual skies. And, you know, sometimes if there's a really weird sky, I'll take a picture of it. And a lot of times, I think, you know, that for my own paintings, I really want clouds in the picture. So if I take a photograph that doesn't have any clouds, I will drop some clouds into the photograph so that I can have clouds in the background. And another thing I've been doing using that program Snapseed is increasing or making the clouds overall, the exposure darker in the sky compared to the rest of the painting. I actually did that on this photograph. I darkened the sky and I increased the contrast, because your camera just can't quite make sense of a very light situation and then the darker land situation. So by messing with it a little bit in Snapseed, which, by the way, it's totally changed. I mean, it's the same idea, but it looks totally different. So don't be afraid if you open it up and you haven't used it in a long time, because they have changed it, but it still does the same old things. All right, I don't know what to do here. A little more dark, maybe. And there's no way I need to spray this, but I'll have to admit, it's like part of me wishes I could go spray it, because I could use a little, I don't know, a little break. So maybe what I should do is just actually turn off my camera and take a little break, walk away, and then have an idea of what to do when I come back. So this is all going much better than I thought it would in terms of how the paper feels and stuff. I'm quite happy with how it feels. I just, I've had this paper quite a while, and I just could not seem to get around to actually, you know, putting that on there, putting the wash on there, but it was really easy. It was not a big deal at all. I don't know why I thought it was going to be a big deal, but it wasn't. All right, maybe I'll put in that dead tree, huh? All right, so I definitely don't have enough contrast here between my field and the Okay, I'm going to stop for a minute. I'll be right. Okay, so the biggest thing I learned while sort of just looking at what I was doing instead of painting is that, oh, this is just too warm in color. So I guess I'm going to try this back here. I'm doing it really lightly. Just to kind of add a glaze of that color over. And keep some of that other color in there. And then it seems like kind of right up here, it's a little, so this is a different color. I don't know if you can see that it's a different color. It was almost exactly the same value. It's just a little more purple, not quite so gray. And all of this is too light, I think. Too light and too light and not dark, and not dark enough. Too light and not dark enough, but also not sort of, it needs to feel like a more deeper green. But all I did right then was I put gray on top of it, so that didn't quite do what I wanted. I should have probably done something like this first and then the gray. But I haven't been keeping track of how many colors I've done, but I have done quite a few here. And I don't have a sense that I need to spray it yet. So that's making me happy. All right, so where did that gray go? Here it is. I was thinking I could come back with the gray on top of the green, maybe. All right, and then I need to work on this row and try to add a little more pizzazz. Oh, golly, it's hard. Autumn is hard. And then I've got my field back there, which I've obliterated. So these fields, if you kind of pay attention, you'll see that the front edge of the field is has more little shapes in front of it, and then the back edge is usually a little more of a straight line. So I didn't really like the way I did that. All right, and let's see if I can get a little more brilliance in the field in the foreground too. Yeah, I did that before. I don't know. So I'm just trying to make it better, and I don't know. I'm not sure what's going to make it better, so I'm just trying things. All right, so these trees, let's just see what we can do about that. They're really, I guess what I need to do is just try to look at individual trees back there, maybe. Oh yeah, I'm just like, where are all the yellows? All the yellows are in their own little box. All right, so that color is giving me some trouble right there. I don't know. If it's from the orange underneath or what, but that color I was giving me, that was the first time I've had a little trouble getting something to lay down on this piece of paper. And I would usually, especially on the, oh, no, not that again. All right. Golly. I can't move the easel to look for it, so I can't see it anywhere. Oh my God, we have all these frames sitting right here too. Okay. Okay, so I'm painting individual trees. That's what I'm doing, and I just dropped the perfect green. I don't know, I just keep going back and forth, like I keep making things a little darker because I don't want to blow out my lights back there. I mean, things are not really, it's not really a sunny day. It's a pretty gray day, which means, of course, that the colors are a little more local, which means the oranges are oranger, okay, but that's kind of good. Yeah, so the colors are kind of local, so there's not as much affected light on a gray day. There's not like all that yellow pouring down from the sun or the blue from the sky. There's just kind of a little more violet-y thing going on. And I don't know, I don't know what to do back there. I'll just try this, I guess. Oh, I think I did that already. Okay, so that's the question I just don't know the answer to. Is this the color that needs to change, or is that the thing that needs to change? So I think I'm going to go back to my sky again and just see if I can get it even lighter on the horizon. And I'm not going to redraw with my charcoal. I am just going to try to make a better shape of those mountains by using the sky. And I'm just going to come over this purple mountain with a white too. And you can hear from the sound. I mean, I probably never did another color back there, but you can hear from the sound that there's still a lot of grit. All right, well now I'm just kind of lost that whole thing, so I'm just going to try redrawing that again. I'm kind of afraid to use my charcoal. I mean, I know I always say, oh yeah, you can redraw anytime with charcoal, so I guess I should try it because I'm afraid maybe it won't really cover it up. But and there's a little bit of that far hills right in there. All right, so now we'll see if I can cover up the charcoal. Yes, okay, good. Good news. And I do like to redraw with my charcoal just because it's just hard for me to think about everything at once, thinking about color, thinking about drawing. It's a little too much. Now, these guys are the closer ones. All right, well, that's too dark. So let's see what else there is I can use. Oh my gosh. All right, back to the sky. Okay, well, God, they definitely look blue. Yeah, I find I have 2 boxes of pastels now, which is really great because it means I never show up at my landscape location without my pastels in my car. But I haven't used this set of pastels since May, and I'm just having trouble because in my mind, I see the colors in the box that's in the car. But who knows, maybe all that is good. Maybe it's good to be confused. Kind of let these guys get too big, didn't I? Okay, so I feel like that's getting better back there now. So I'm just going to keep working forward until I can figure it out. Maybe what I really need, the orange is not, I need this darker green right in front of here. So you probably notice that as things get further away, they appear to get smaller. So that's another reason why you can make, well, this is going to really sound contradictory. Like up close, I'm going to make some really small, bright little marks, but I also have some sort of bigger marks up close. So back here, it's like the strokes need to be smaller to show that they're describing things that are further away. Oh my God, I wish I had never started this conversation. But up close, you probably want to have some smaller strokes also to show that you're showing smaller details. So what makes the strokes in the distance different than the strokes up close is the ones in the distance, they're smaller strokes, but they're more all together. They don't have a lot of, I'm not using different values back here. And when I start working on these guys again, the hydrangeas again, I'll be using smaller strokes, but also the value contrast will make them really come forward. So, okay, so I've got this, which is behind, and then I need to, maybe if I came back now and did these orange things and all the orange kind of trees, if I could find anything that I wanted to use. Is it you? Maybe it's you. Then these guys will be on top now. So maybe part of my problem was I wasn't really working from the back to the front. And I forgot to finish those there. And maybe I just have let things get too big. And that's why I think I did. I let them get too big back there, and that's why they don't seem like they're going away, because they're just too big. I'm going to try to bring up this row a little bit. Okay, but that's too strong a color, so I'm going to come back. I think I might be able to finish this without spraying it, which would really be a first for me. Confusion reigns. Okay, you know, all right. Maybe what I'm going to try is I'm actually going to draw some trees. Okay, so, all right, so I'm just going to make this little row down here. I'm just going to keep it this sort of little bluish bushes, I think, especially right where it goes behind here. I don't want to get all confused about what's in the foreground, what's in the distance there. And I said before I was just going to let these go right over here behind. All right, so here we have kind of a yellow tree. Here we have some dark purple, bluish, evergreen sort of situation. And then there's another kind of some sort of deciduous tree. And here's that kind of yellowy, another yellowy tree. A little bit of red, then the dead tree. I don't know if this is going to help me or not, but and then up here we're going to have this tree actually comes up so high, so maybe that'll help me push that back too. So we have this tree, or maybe it's two trees, I'm not really sure. Coming way up here, we have this little sort of yellowy tree here, greenish tree going over here. Big greeny tree here. This pine tree here. Whoa! Yeah, don't get excited and press down too hard on your charcoal. But I think I'd be used to it because it happens all the time. Sort of a little greenier tree here coming down. Another little greeny tree here. Or yellowy green, yellowy light green. Okay, so let's see, maybe that'll make the mountains go back more. Maybe. Okay, so this tree, just broke that one. And maybe it's got a little purple in it too. It's always the left-hand corner. The hardest place for me to work when I'm filming. I just need the perfect green. If I just could find the perfect green. Oh, that kind of helped push back the mountains, I think. And then I just want to have some sort of yeah, it's starting to get a lot of that color, especially. It felt gummy. I don't know, maybe it's just the yellows are feeling a little gummy. I don't seem to have any olive greens in this box. It's not good. Okay, and then I've got that big fir tree business up here. So I just hope this is kind of a good example of the fact that I don't really know what's wrong. I don't exactly know what's wrong. So I'm looking and seeing things that are different than what in the reality, or in this case in the photograph, than what I have in my painting. And then I'm trying to, I don't know which thing it is, which thing it's going to be that's going to fix it. I'm just trying some stuff. And then hopefully the other hope is I'll recognize it when I fix it. But I feel like this is maybe better, so. So I don't really like that. I know I don't smear it, but just a little bit. But the truth is, I really don't like the way that smeary thing looks. Yeah, I've about used up my tooth on my paper here, so. Okay, so I'm just gonna work down here a little more. Oh yeah, this is that box that a full stick of Rembrandt, when it's brand new, won't actually fit in the box perpendicular to the box. You have to put it in sideways. All right, let's try this. This is a really pretty color. Sort of that Indian red, I think. All right, and that one I just broke, so I'll see if I can use this little piece of it. No? All right, well, that totally disintegrated. Oh, I left out, I was supposed to have some fir trees in here, so I'll get those back in there. Oh my God, no, not you. It's horrifying. Oh my God, that green. Okay, it's gotta go. I don't know how I feel about that either, but now I'm going to just do those things down at the bottom. And why are you over there? I wonder. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I do kind of talk to myself. Especially I talk to myself so much more since I started talking to you when I was painting. All right, just a reminder again to myself that it's better to use the darker color and then put the lighter color on top so that it looks like the darks are showing through the lights and not like the darks are set up on top of the lights. And maybe I just need just a little lighter even right in there, a little bit, maybe. I just feel like the Rembrandts are exactly the perfect shape, but I'm sure that's something to do with the fact that I've just been using them so long. So they're just right, you know. Some of these other things are just too big, they're too clunky. I can't quite control where my mark is going to be, and I can't see. I feel like I can't see what I'm doing. All right, so now I'm just going to try to make this stuff in the front do what it's supposed to. And I just don't have the interest to do every you know, every little mark or every little leaf. I just want to see if I can what can I do? What is the minimum I can do to convince my viewer that I've done more than I did? I just thought I'd knock that down just a little bit more, for better or worse. I really want to get the edge of the field. All right, so now we have the hydrangea. All right, I did use quite a bit of purple, but I'm kind of want to use a little more. And yes, it's over here on this side of the paper where it's so hard for me to work. Yeah, I think one flower's got to go there. Of course, I really wish I knew what color I'd used on the field to get rid of that flower, but it's kind of a toss-up, you know. I don't keep all my colors out that I'm using. They're just kind of thrown all around. And what that means is I can't always find what I used before, but the thing for me is I'm really hoping I'll find something that works better. So sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't really work. So I was just started teaching again in person, and I had my first class this week, or I guess it's last week now, but so somebody asked me how I keep my strokes from all just going like a right-hand person's stroke goes, and I just want to be sure you know that I have worked very hard on that. It's not natural. It's been a lot of work to be able to do my stroke in a variety of directions and not just the way it naturally goes because I'm right-handed. I'm just gonna draw some leaves in here. So, you know, people kind of act like there's this big difference between abstract painting and realistic painting. Realistic painting is super abstract, as you can see in here. It just also has realism, and so I just can't even imagine just painting. I just can't imagine just painting abstract, because I feel like I get to do that here, and I get to have realism too. I don't know if I'm going to leave these things in. I'm just putting them in to see if I like them. And then I think there has to be like little leaves on the top of them and stuff too. All right, and do I want more white? I don't know. All right, so this kind of, I think, is a little too much. Let's see if I can knock that down just a little bit and then take another look. So when you get to the end of the painting, which I'm feeling kind of at the end of my rope now, just because, I don't know, just like enough. Sort of did what I wanted to do, and now I don't want to do it anymore. So that made it better, I think. Can't decide if I want one more white flower right here. I just sort of feel like I do want one more right there, so I'm just gonna, maybe just a little one. Yeah, maybe just like that. Maybe one more right here too. I think there was supposed to be one right there. All right, so I'm just going to stand up and take a look at it. It's kind of a weird shape right there in the middle. Right here, just a little weirdness. Holy cow, I don't know. This seems a little too strong too. So maybe I need just one more leaf. Golly, hope this is a decent color. Well, I kind of wish I had more, maybe I'll just try putting in a couple of tree trunks, maybe. I wish I had more delineation in here, and I'm using my charcoal. It's kind of like there's the middle of the painting, and I got a big blank space. All right, so maybe that's better. Just a little more something going on over there to kind of lead your eye over here. And maybe just a little bright, a few little specks of a little brighter color right in there. And then I think those, all that, oh, that is too competitive. I'm just going to get rid of some of that. But the strokes I used in the tree right behind the little yellow, the red thing were too much the same. God, now I lost all my little. Put them back. I'm just going to leave them with charcoal and not put them back in with something else. All right, well. Going to knock this down a little bit too, right behind the hydrangeas. It's a little unclear what is hydrangea and what is behind the hydrangeas. So I'm just going to use a little purple to. Same thing, the strokes, I think the strokes in the background were too similar to my strokes in the foreground. So that didn't work too well. Yeah, I don't know if I like that either. So sometimes that's kind of how I decide when I'm finished, is I do some things that I don't like, and then maybe that's okay, or maybe it needs to be grayer. Hate that stroke. Okay, all right, I'm gonna quit. I am. All right, so that's it. That's it for now and forever on this painting, but I just wanted to try it. There's some things I like about it, and some things, as always, that I wish I'd done better. So thank you so much for watching.